Good afternoon to my fig friends. It is late October, October the 26th. And I thought I'd do a sort of a review, an end of the season, fig season review. Hey there. No figs for you right now. And these are I call my fig babies, which I made air layers to my favorite varieties. And I brought them in so that they can withstand the weather, so that they would get a little better rooted for late October. They're doing well. And shortly, I will put them out in the weather alongside the house and let the first few frosts begin to hit them so that I can put them to sleep for the winter for safe storage, let them go dormant. But for now, I'm just trying to extend the season a little in these varieties so that the roots become a little more established. And I have found that that helps with the survivability over the winter storage period. Let's see, a recap. Let's go out this way. Can't come right now. Little doggy wants to come. Let's go out here to look at the persimmons. The figs are finished. These are some of my in-ground that I featured in other videos. And you can see the fall colors are well commenced. Beautiful. A little sad to see the end of the season so close. But the fall is one of the most beautiful times of the year, as you well know. I certainly do enjoy the fall, but not the winter. And I've still got figs that are getting ripe out here on some varieties. The Black Greek Marius is still pumping out figs. I've been eating them. Here's something that I wanted to show you. This is my Nikita gift. And I've been eating quite a few of these persimmons. As they get ripe, you can see they're ripening very, very nicely. They're just absolutely beautiful. And I have encouraged you, my fig friends, in other videos to perhaps plant a couple persimmons trees, because you will never, ever, ever regret it. I promise you, if you have the ground and you're in 7A, in zone 7A or B, you will not regret. And you can go colder than that too, especially with the varieties that I've recommended mostly in other videos. I'm not going to get into a big, long video here, but I just wanted to show you the spectacular beauty of Nikita gift. Nikita's gift is just wonderful, and it is superb. It's delicious. Trust me. If you have room for persimmons, plant a Seijo Japanese persimmons, 100% Japanese, and plant a cross between an American persimmons and the Japanese persimmons. I've talked about this in my other video on figs, persimmons, and pawpaw. And that would be Nikita's gift. That would be my highest recommendation, those two. And you can go into colder zones than 7A with those. Very quickly, I wanted to talk about this sultane, which I have featured before. I have to tell you, this is an extraordinary cultivar, and I am increasingly impressed with it. It just continues to ripen figs. I've been eating them frequently and picking them, and it just keeps pumping them out. From July till now, it has been a steady stream of edible figs. Let's see if I can get inside this one. kind of hard. There we go. There we go. And they are spectacularly delicious, I want to say. Unique, sweet and unique. And this is a good variety. I've planted this variety in 2 places now, in Virginia and in New Jersey. And I do not regret sauteing. It's a wonderful French fig, and I highly recommend it. This is, I've said in my other Persimmons video, that this is one that I grafted onto an American stock, and a couple of them. And this is Nikita's gift too. You can't graft a Japanese, or I haven't been able to successfully graft a Japanese to an American stock, but because Nikita's gift is a blend, a cross, you can get away with it. And so I've been grafting as many Nikita's gift to ordinary American stock as I can, because don't get me wrong, American persimmons are wonderful, but they're totally different. They're very different, and they're great. Some other day I think I'll go into more detail about that. This is my Seijo persimmons, and you can just see how beautiful it is and how loaded with fruit this tree is. You can see the fall colors here on my other Seijo. I'll come around to that. But it's just loaded with fruit. Here's some fruit that I've been picking today. And the wind blew a branch off, a couple. They do break off. And persimmons is brittle. It's brittle wood. And so you're going to lose a branch here and there. This is your Seijo persimmons. And that's, you know what, maybe I should bite into one of these. I haven't done that. Oh, they're so good. Oh gosh, man, they're good. Here, let me take a bite out of this one. I'm serious. I'm not overdoing this. Listen, I do these videos for your benefit and for mine. Someday I start to lose my memory. If I do. I hope I don't. But I have no agenda here except to try to share what I know and what I've learned over the decades with you. And thank you for your response. I've gotten some wonderful, very polite, and sometimes, I mean, very professional responses. And I want to tell you that that's the gratification that I was looking for. I'm not looking for anything else, but just the knowledge that I'm helping a few people and giving some encouragement to new growers, new fig enthusiasts or persimmons enthusiasts, or gardening in general, which I do a lot of gardening. It gives me a deep sense of gratification and satisfaction, I have to tell you. And thank you for your remarks. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for watching the videos. I'm glad that they have been of some assistance to you and that you have found them to be valuable. And I hope that some of my suggestions and some of my recommendations will turn out as good for you as they have for me. So I wanted to do a little segment here on the persimmons before I move on. Wow, that was good. It's sublime. I have to tell you, if I've ever encouraged you more, let me try to top that right now. Try a persimmons tree. If you have the room to grow a persimmons. Oh my God. Oh, I promise you, it will become your most valuable tree in your yard. I promise you that. I promise that if you plant a Sage Persimmons or Nikita Gift or both in your yard, I promise you it will become your most valuable possession as far as a gardening perspective. Because they're just absolutely carefree, disease-free, bug-free, practically bird-free. I never get any problems with anything. It's prolific. I mean, look at it. Look how productive it is. They're delicious. They ripen on time, and they ripen after the season for figs is essentially over, unless you have a greenhouse to continue it. So this is something I want to encourage you to try. Oh God, that's a nice one right there. I got this for the birds, but again, the birds don't really bother. As you can see, the birds don't bother me very much. Almost not at all. It's beginning to rain. So let's get back to figs. This is my Ronde Bordeaux, which I have talked about so many times. And this might, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, that this is the last fig that this particular Ronde Bordeaux, I have another that's producing well in the greenhouse, will produce this season. But if you go back to my Figs, Facts, and Fiction Part 1 tape, I feature this tree first. And it was July the 10th. And you will see, and I would like you to watch that tape, because there's a lot of useful information in there about figs. I just ramble on, and I want you to look at that tape, because you will see that this tree back then was loaded with fruit. All the way back, ripe fruit, all the way back July 10th. And there's a little story that goes with it, and lots of information that I packed in. And this is the last one, so you get to witness the first, and you get to witness the last of the RDB figs in my yard. Now this is my rather large Celeste tree that I cut back last year all the way back to, and this is only chest high on me. You see these spots where I've cut them. All these places. They're all the same place. And the reason why I did that was because every third year I have to cut back the tree drastically. And the reason why I do is just to be able to contain it and to be able to wrap it more easily. I mean, I wrap my figs. We've talked about that, and I'm going to demonstrate in another video soon. Once these become fully dormant, I am going to demonstrate how I wrap my figs to save them, how to preserve the last year's wood, which you can see that I do. And it's an art. I mean, I have to say, there's so much more to it than many would ever believe. There's so much I have to tell you about, and I will. But I did the same here to my Peter's honey. I cut it back to 4.5, 5 feet. And you see that that's all new growth. My Peter's honey just continued to grow. And I have videos on that. And hi there. I'll gobble you down a little later. So to keep these trees from getting 15 and 18 foot or going all the way to the roof, I've got to cut them back. But now this year I won't. This year I'll just top this off. I'll pull it all together with a rope. And I'll swing them all together. I'll pull them all together in a column, in a vertical column. I wish I had someone to hold the camera so I could show you, or my phone. That's all I use on these videos is my phone. That's all I have. But I'll pull them all together. I'll lob off the tops a little bit because they're still 9 foot tall at this point, at least. And then I'll wrap it with burlap and a tarp, and I'll explain the reasons, and I'll explain what all the pitfalls are and why I do it the way I do. These little guys are going to be wrapped again. They were wrapped last year, and so is this one. This is a small Peter's Honey. I try to keep my figs small, believe it or not. I do try to keep them small because it's easier to manage for me. And I don't know, I think this has probably ripened its last fig for the season. Although there's a chance if I get a little Indian summer now that I'll get a couple more. But this is in previous videos, and I've got plenty off of it, and plenty off of my other Peter's Honey, and I've got one in Virginia, 2 in Virginia. Look at those pretty colors. Aren't they beautiful? So, this Persimmons is already, this is a Yates Persimmons, has already dropped its leaves mostly. We've had a couple light frosts out here, very light. I live out in the country, so that's not hard. I mean, it's not unusual for us to get early frosts. So now let's take a little walk and we'll take a look at what's in the greenhouse. These colors are just so gorgeous. Pretty. I love this time of year. Oh, look at that. Those things work up there for birds. They do. Birds don't like them, and they don't. Well, we've talked about the things that the birds don't like, and I've had good luck this year, and no trouble with birds. I have potatoes in here, and I've got parsley, and I had what the Italians call vasanagal, known as basil. I'm going to be eating some more of those in a few minutes. Let's take a quick walk. We'll take a look at some of these fabulous fall colors. I don't want to make this video too long, but we're heading for the greenhouse now, because there is my last refuge for the remainderment of my producing fig varieties. There's another Nikita's gift I might want to show you. Uh-oh. All right. Give me a second here. Sorry. All right. Now here, except for my Smith, which I can tell that this is a tender variety. I wouldn't attempt to put this in the ground because already some of the leaves are turning yellow from the cold nights. And the other varieties, all of the other varieties I have in here, really have not, except for a stray yellow leaf here and there. Now, this, I know I've talked about this ad nauseum, but I need to talk about this again. This is Ron de Bordeaux, which is certainly one of my top figs. I love this fig because of the utilitarian aspects of it. Its practical nature in the Northeast. Now, I'm trying to open this up. Look at that. Look at the beautiful flesh of this fig. It's just, it's extraordinarily delicious. And I'm still getting figs. I've been gobbling these down. I should have saved more to show you, but let me eat this one. Oh my. Oh, I'm so serious. That is superb. It is so delicious this late in the season. This one's completely ripe too. I'll save this one for my wife. How beautiful that is, everyone. This one here, that's a big one. This is ripe also. And I better save that for Debbie. There's some more back here. They're very, very ripe. And here's another ripe one right there. Look at that one. Oh gosh, we might want to take this one. Right. Here we go. Oh wow. I love this variety. This variety was my first main crop variety. You can look at my video going back to July 4th. And it says on the video head, in time for the fireworks. July 4th fireworks. It was my first main crop fig. And it looks like it's close to the last. But it just has produced and produced and produced and produced. And of course I didn't pinch this one like I did the outer one, the one in the ground. So this one just kept producing more. You know, pinching is something I want to talk to you about because there's too much over pinching, I think. That's my opinion. And it should be used very, very sparingly. And pinching should be mostly used for scaffolding, for shaping your tree. And when your trees are very early, like some of these sticks that are just little trees, don't pinch your trees. Don't pinch them to get an early crop, because you're hurting the tree's development. That's my opinion. Don't do it. If you're dying to taste a new variety, okay, save one fig or two. But you know, if you nourish your trees properly, and I've hammered this point across over and over again, if you give them the proper nourishment, you're not going to have to pinch your trees for figs. You're going to have plenty of figs. I mean, you know that's true. Please go back and look at some of my other videos where I demonstrate that. Pinching is something that is valuable, but it's overused and it's abused. And I don't recommend it except for scaffolding, for shaping your tree, and maybe in certain situations where you want to get an early crop, but you have other trees and you can spare the later crop that you're going to deny by pinching. You're going to get a little bit of an earlier crop maybe, but you're not going to, like this Ronde Bordeaux, which wasn't pinched, you're not going to get this late crop. Now you want the late crop. I mean, you want to have figs that continue through the ceiling. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Through the season. I think this tree is growing through the ceiling. certainly my Smith is growing through the ceiling. It's nearly 8 foot tall. Well, we'll talk more about pinching, but for now, I would just like to advise those out there that are interested in pinching but don't fully understand or have the experience with it, to use it sparingly and let your little trees develop when they're small. And you let them develop not by fruiting them early, but by letting them grow and encouraging growth. If anything, pluck the figs off of them when they're young. Pluck the figs off of them. If you do that, you're going to encourage more root development, better scaffolding, a larger tree, and the following year it will pay off huge dividends for you. Trust me, I've been doing this a long time. Here's another beautiful tree. This is a tree that I've talked to you about. It's a close, what you would call a strain to Violet de Bordeaux. And it is Violet de Bordeaux, and it refers to the color of the fig. And it's a French fig, and they are violet, as you can see. And Violet de Bordeaux, we've talked about it, you know about it perhaps. It's a well-known fig. This is Nero 600M. I find that it is later than other Violet de Bordeaux, in my own personal opinion. Although it has an early breba. I mean, wouldn't you know? or figure. But they're great figs. As you can see, they are just magnificent figs. Beautiful in color. They have that violet color. Let me eat this Ronde Bordeaux. As I've said before, this is such a difficult task. I mean, somebody has to do this, and I guess I'll just have to. God, that's good. That's gotta be. That's another thing about Violet de Bordeaux. I mean, Ronde Bordeaux. It's always good, even in a container. A lot of figs are not good in containers, but this Ronde Bordeaux, like Smith, and really like this Italian 258, and also, and this has been finished a long time. All my figs ripened long ago on my Black Madeira. It tastes great in a pot. Some trees taste wonderful in a pot, and some taste horrible in a pot. And That's a reality. And so try to, if you're going to be growing in containers, find the ones that taste good in pots, that do well. And RDB certainly does well, and so does Violet de Bordeaux and all the various strains that are associated with that variety. Like this one, they taste fine. That's a nice ripe fig. Should I? Oh, gosh, why not? Here we go. You got to keep a secret from me. I won't tell my wife about it. Yo, I got to give it to her. Look at how nice it. Oh, jeez. I can't eat this one. Oh, I would like to. I could eat half of it, but you know what? I'm going to give this to Debbie. She loves these figs. She loves all the figs. I'll just leave it right. Well, let me put it over here. I'll give her that one. There'll be others getting ripe. So I just wanted to bring in an update and present it to you. I still have figs ripening in my greenhouse, and I'm looking forward to each and every one of them. Okay. Other fig trees have long ago produced their full bounty. This is an Adriatic Battaglia Green, and it has wonderful figs. We've talked about Adriatics. I recommend Battaglia Green. It's wonderful. It produced its last fruit long ago. All of them got ripe, and they were delicious. They were extraordinarily delicious. Here I have a late Genovese Nero getting ripe. Let me see if I can. Okay. And it will get ripe in a few days. And it is a very late. I find that it's later, much later. This is my opinion with it, my experience. Much later than Black Madeira. And it is superb in taste. But it has Breba, which are delicious, spectacularly delicious, among the very best. There's pros and cons on every fig. But in my opinion, Italian 258 should be in everybody's collection that can grow Italian 258. Meaning, you're going to have to help it along a little bit and give it an early start. The same is true of Black Madeira. We've talked about this a lot, but not as much as Italian 258. It's earlier, I have found, and all of mine have ripened long ago. I have no problem with Black Madeira using the techniques and the procedures that I have talked about in other videos. So that's a wrap up. October the 28th, 2019. The nights have been getting cold. We've had a couple frosts. Here's a few of my other varieties. That's a young Smith coming along very nicely. And here's another grafted Black Madeira right there. And it's grafted right here on another rootstock. And it's doing very, very nice. It's very healthy. Next year, that's going to produce a lot of figs. I should have popped those figs off. I know I'm giving you advice about popping the figs off and letting them grow. But things get away from me. I have so much to do. And an afterthought is that I should have popped those figs off. I think in the back of my mind, I was hoping that I could get them to ripen. And they may actually ripen. They've been on there for quite a long time. Okay, with that, let's take a little walk out here. And maybe we're visit another Persimmons tree. I want to show you. Here's another Nikita's Gift. How marvelous, how spectacular, how wonderful. Just superb. It's beautiful. And my American persimmons that I've shown in other videos, they're all done. The frost has hit them hard, and several weeks ago was the last persimmons. They're earlier than the Japanese persimmons, or even the crosses between Japanese and American. And these are my pawpaws, over 20 years old or more. And they fruited in September. They're quite big for pawpaw, and they take years and years and years to grow. If you ever want a pawpaw, now's the time to grow a pawpaw. You grow it now. You plant it now, because it takes a long time. Then these are other persimmons varieties that I have. All beautiful trees. But these are American persimmons, and they've long ago produced their fruit. This is my root cellar. I've never shown you this. So maybe I'll just include this in this video. But this is a pretty large root cellar that I call my fig cellar. Let me see if I can open this up. Oh my. Here we go. There's two other doors with hatches. And I open this up and I put a lot of figs. I'll dig these trees up. Some of these in my fig garden that I have in pots in the ground. And I'll dig them up. I've talked about that technique. And I'll put them right in there. I'll take some of these varieties and I'll lay them right in there on that grate. And you would be surprised, because this is a pretty large fig cellar. And when I lay them in there, I'll tie their branches together. I'll pull them together sort of like this, you know. Pull them all together, and they don't take up much room that way. And then you just lay them one on top of the other, and then close up the door like this, and put a tarp over it, and say sayonara for the winter. It's over. You just say goodnight to your figs, and you might think, yeah, but Lou, how do you water? Well, you don't have to. You don't water all winter long. It's a perfect micro environment over the winter for your figs, because the humidity in there is in the 90%, 91, 92, 96, 98. It varies a little, and that's enough for your soil medium to absorb moisture right from the air, and they never dry out, and they never rot, and you never get root rot. You never have any problems. You just don't. Underground like that. And that's all you need to do. You don't have to put any additional insulation. You don't have to do anything, because the thermal heat from the